I'm a 22-year-old who is currently home for the summer from college. I haven't been able to sleep for the past 5 days. It started 3 weeks ago. I usually go to this mom and pop bagel place right by my house. I buy the same thing and sometimes bring home bagels for my family. I'd gone on a weekday around 11 a.m. As I walked in, there was a young guy working the counter, maybe 25 or 26. He greeted me and asked what he could get for me while watching me intently. I gave him my order, then went to grab my credit card out of my wallet, only to have all my spare change fall out onto the floor. I was mortified. Before I could blink, the employee rushed around from behind the counter to help me pick it all up. While he crouched on the floor, I noticed he injured his finger, and I automatically felt 10 times worse. I insisted that he didn't need to help me, but he was adamant and picked up the rest of the coins. I asked how he injured his finger. He sighed and explained that he had dislocated it while playing rugby. We talked about rugby briefly, how long he'd been playing and where he played. Completely harmless conversation. I paid and wished him a nice day. Later that afternoon, I checked my Instagram notifications. I saw someone had started following me, and I mindlessly clicked the notification. Seeing the profile picture, my stomach dropped. It was the guy from the bagel place. I was baffled. I didn't know how he even found me. Logistically speaking, my socials are just my first and last name, so if someone really wanted to find me, it'd be pretty easy. But he'd have to know my name, and I didn't even say it. All I asked was how he injured his finger. I tried to think of possible ways, like, did he look at the name on the credit card, or was my name on the receipt? I removed him as a follower and left it alone. About a half hour later, he followed me again. Then, he DM'd me. The message said that he hoped it wasn't weird that he had found my Instagram. He claimed he couldn't stop thinking about me. Now, I felt uneasy. It wasn't even that I didn't know him. I'm public online because of my career in music and theater. Random followers don't scare me. I can handle DMs from creeps online, but this was much more serious and unnerving. This guy had access to me in person. His work was just 10 minutes from my house. I decided to block him, thinking that would be the end of it. But boy, was I wrong. My job started up again. I worked from 8:30 to 4 and then had rehearsal for a show from 7 to 11 p.m. I was on my lunch break and checked my phone, only to see the guy had made another account and was spam-liking all my posts. I had over 40 notifications from him alone. The messages complimented my appearance, questioned why I blocked him, and repeatedly insisted that he only wanted to get to know me. I went to rehearsal like normal, and during our 8-minute break, I checked my phone. I had over 100 notifications across multiple platforms. In addition to Instagram, he'd now found my Snapchat and TikTok. He spam-liked all of my TikToks that went back to 2021. Worst of all was the string of DMs he'd sent. The messages became increasingly demanding. He repeatedly asked why I wasn't answering him, complained about having to make new accounts after being blocked, commented that I looked pretty that day, mentioned seeing me on Hinge and questioning why I hadn't matched with him, and eventually began angrily demanding a response. My heart was racing as I stood in silence, processing everything. What was this guy's deal? I felt helpless during the remainder of rehearsal, spiraling until it finished at 11 p.m. I walked out of the stage door, gripping my keys tightly. I was only a few steps out when I came to a stop. Something had just moved by my car. I stopped and squinted. From what I could see, it looked like a man, hovering around my driver's side window. I stared out into the dark parking lot. I'm nearsighted, so I couldn't really see him that well. I bolted back inside through the stage door, locking it, and I raced to find one of the other actors from rehearsal. I ended up finding Finn, who was the head stage manager. My hands were shaking badly and I could barely get the words out. Finn calmed me down and I told him everything. He said he would check first and then walk me to my car. I sat in the green room waiting while he checked. Nothing. Buzz. My phone buzzed. Another DM. The message stated, "You look good in blue." That did it. I started to cry uncontrollably, scared out of my mind. Finn, being the angel he was, stayed later to calm me down and walk me to my car. My nerves were shot as I looked around the nearly pitch-black parking lot. I prayed he wasn't going to emerge from out of nowhere. There were tons of places he could rush out from. Behind the garbage bin, behind the trees, the fence in the back, behind my car. Finn was beside me as I walked over to my car. I started to open my door when I saw it. 2 distinct handprints on my driver's side window. I wasn't paranoid. He had really been standing there. I couldn't even blame it on imagining things. He'd found the theater. I couldn't even begin to fathom how, until it hit me. My Instagram story. I'd reposted the cast announcement from the theater and he'd found out the address. I wanted to kick myself. I was going to be there all week. And now, he knew where I was. Finn walked me to my car every day during rehearsal to ease my mind. I was restless that night. If he could find the theater, he might be able to find my address and my workplace. When would he stop? I did everything I could to cover my tracks. I wouldn't post myself on my story until I'd gotten home. I took an alternate route to work. I warned the theater about him, and I stopped going to the bagel shop. This angered him, and it only got worse. He was blowing up my phone with angry DMs. The messages complained that I had stopped coming into the shop. He asked where I had gone. He questioned why I was no longer at work when expected. He would repeatedly ask where I was, and eventually warned me that he could easily find me. Now, I was wondering, do I need to involve the police? Or was I being dramatic? Was it serious enough to involve the police? The performance dates were coming up, and I was terrified he was going to come to the theater. I told the theater staff about it, and they told me they'd keep me safe. Eventually, it was opening weekend. I didn't come out to the lobby after the first 2 shows, since no one I knew was able to make it. After the Saturday matinee, one of my friends in the cast came to find me. She told me someone had come to see me and had left flowers. I felt bad, thinking maybe one of my friends had stopped by as a surprise. It was from my stalker. He left a bouquet of flowers and a note. The note said that he was disappointed that I hadn't come to see him after the show. It mentioned that I hadn't returned for bagels and was no longer parking in my usual spot at work. But he claimed that he would be patient. It said, the roses would look lovely in my bedroom, and added that I didn't need the stage manager to walk me to my car because I had him. So, that was the last straw. I went straight to management with the flowers and note in hand. Apparently, some girl they'd recently hired to work the box office had let him in. He told her he was my boyfriend and asked where I would come out after the performance so he could meet me. Worst of all, he'd purchased tickets for the entirety of the show's run. The director ended up calling an emergency meeting to explain everything. He was banned by the theater and his tickets were voided. I haven't heard anything since, and I'm currently trying to file a restraining order against him. I'm just praying. He backs off and leaves me alone.